Hi, welcome to Chaos of Clarity. Meteorologist Bernie Rayno. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm at AccuRayno. Here's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving week. I think there's a Thanksgiving Day storm. Question is, will there be enough cold air for snow with it? And then I think that the first week of December is very interesting. We're going to be building a lot of cold across the country. And then once you have the cold, you always have to worry about snow. Usually on the front end of the snow and then on the back end of the snow. So that's what I'm going to be looking at here in the next few minutes. And of course, we'll start with what's going to happen on Thanksgiving week here. And let me show you the storm that we're watching for you here. Let me put this on. So, okay, this is the storm. This right in here. This is going to be forming. This might be another bomb cyclone, by the way, in the next 24 hours off the northwest coast. Then this energy comes back and around, and then this is the system that eventually we're going to keep an eye on across the Midwest and into the Northeast for Thanksgiving Day. It would be Thursday into Friday on where this is going to go. I want to show you, I already have some scenarios with this storm that we're looking at. Let me clear this quickly here. So again, this energy, and I'll show you it coming up here, but I want to show you this map first. These are the scenarios that we're talking about already for next week. I want to give you wrong map. Let me close. There it is. Okay, let me put this on full. All right. I believe there is going to be energy coming out of the west. Now, depending on the strength of that energy, if it's a stronger system, I think it'll end up being farther north. It'll be a slower movement. It'll impact this area Wednesday into Friday, and in which case, I think we can get some snow in these areas here with this storm as we get into Wednesday, Friday, somewhere in here. This would be well west in the 95 corridor. This is the scenario number one. More energy comes out, drives the storm a little farther west. Then you get enough cold air in here, and this could get pretty interesting. Parts of Michigan, and then in this area as we go forward. Or it's just a very weak, faster system. It's flat, goes off the Carolina coast, and there's little or no snow with it, mostly a rain producer. Or it could be a scenario somewhere in between. It's not as strong as scenario number one, not as weak as scenario two, something in between here, in which case I take a track like this, and then, you could maybe see some snow in these areas as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. So that's kind of the area that we're highlighting now. This would be as we get into our Thanksgiving Day, Thursday and the Friday. That's what we're looking at. Now, I want to show you some of the modeling on this, some of the things I'm looking at, so you can see where I'm going with this. So let's go back to this. So we're going to be looking at the American and the European model as we normally do. Here's where we are right now. I'm going to fast forward to Monday. All right, so this is the American model. This is Monday. This is the energy right in here that is the key to the Thanksgiving Day storm. What's going to happen is you're going to get this little initial impulse coming across the Great Lakes. What that does, it brings in some colder air. Let me show you the surface map with that. You see, you bring in some colder air right in here. You notice that? As we get into Tuesday, look at the high pressure system across Ohio and Indiana. So what you do is you bring down a fresh injection of cold air, and then you track this energy right in here. Now, this is European. Watch what it does. Keeps it pretty well maintained here. So this is Wednesday, Thursday evening, Thursday morning, Friday, right in here. So here's your storm. Right in here. Now, the question, right here. Here's your injection of some colder air behind it. So watch that track to the north and east end. Now, right in there. So there it is. See that tracking in here? Thursday evening into Friday morning. Here's the surface map with it. As we get into Thursday and Friday, there it is, Thursday. And there's your storm. Notice that right in there, with a low pressure system right across West Virginia. Now, according to the GFF, the European, there's not a lot of cold air with this. That there's not enough moisture back in the cold air for accumulating snow. I'm not sure that's right, but you can then see as it moves to the northeast. I'd worry there's a little more than what the models are saying here. If this would verify, I think you would have to worry about snow in this area. Probably north and west of Pittsburgh, down toward the Detroit area, probably not toward Chicago, but this was an area I'd worry about accumulating snow. Certainly would not be for the I-95 corridor. That's the European model. And it brings a lot more energy with this. So I want to show you the GFS, a little different here. There's that piece of energy right in here. But what it's going to do is that a lot of this energy splits. What do I mean by that? You're going to get a piece of energy that goes here, and only a little energy comes across the country with this trough. Let me show you what I mean. This is Monday evening. You see how it's starting? Not all of it, some of it splits off. It's a much faster and weaker system. You see that? So there's the American model, Thursday evening. Here's the European model. See the difference? The timing's about the same, but the American model a lot weaker with that energy. You notice that? Right in there. A lot weaker with it. So again, that's Thursday evening. See? European, American, a lot weaker. Watch how it just goes offshore. Now, what this would do is it would bring a storm a little faster, a little farther south, and then you might be able to get some snow here across parts of Pennsylvania. I mean, you would be looking at snow in here. Wouldn't be in toward New York City, it'd be back in here where you can get a little bit of snow. Wouldn't be a whole lot, but there'd be some snow and ice with that. And that would be on Thursday. Again, look at the surface map. You see that? Goes offshore, and then the cold air rushes in behind it. So again, we've got an interesting little system here on Thanksgiving Day. It doesn't look like it would be a huge storm and a huge amount of snow because there's not a lot of cold air right now with the storm, but let's keep an eye on that Thursday and the Friday. The areas would be Midwest into the Northeast. It would not be New York City, it would not be Philadelphia, it would be not Washington, D.C., it would be too much rain. But cities like Pittsburgh, State College, Albany, back toward Detroit, maybe Indianapolis, I think you got to keep this storm in mind as we get into Thanksgiving. And again, I want to go back to the scenarios here quick. And it really all depends on how much energy comes out of the Pacific right now. Let me go back to that. See, the more energy that comes out, I think it would be stronger and farther west. Then you would have to worry about snow in here. Now, nothing shows that right now. And nothing shows right now a scenario where it's weak, it gets buried, and there's little or no snow. The scenario is somewhere in between, that the area to watch would be somewhere in here for the possibility of accumulating snow. That would be on Thanksgiving Day. So let's watch that. Now, what gets even more interesting is what follows this storm, because there's going to be a heck of a lot of cold coming next weekend. And with that, there's going to be more threats for the possibility of snow here. Let me show you what I mean. Now, the modeling on this is all over the place, and I don't put a lot of faith in it, but I do believe that the cold is coming. So after our storm goes, here we go into Friday and Saturday. Look at this dip in the jet stream coming in. Look at this coming into the east, Thursday into Friday. You see that? This upper low right in here. Sorry, I keep getting out of here. But this is Friday evening. This upper low comes across the area and just buries the Northeast in cold. Midwest and Northeast next weekend is going to be a full taste of winter. Winter cold coming next weekend. Now, the problem is, if you're a snow lover, it's too cold and the baroclinic zone gets shifted offshore. Here's what I mean. So let me go this upper low. Watch it come in. This is the European. See how it comes on through. And while you have additional energy dropping down here, the problem is when you look at the surface map by Saturday evening, your cold front, I mean, it's well offshore. I mean, there would be a lot of lake effect with this, and that's the other story. There's going to be a lot of lake effect here. But your baroclinic zone is way offshore. It's in here. So any storms that would form along that would be gone, would be way offshore. It's what I would call a waste of cold air if you're looking for snow across the Midwest and Northeast, because that upper low just drives that baroclinic zone offshore. So what happens is, while you do have additional energy in here that's going to be dropping south and east, right? Watch, the problem is when you look at the surface map, the baroclinic zone is offshore. So what happens? Where does your storm form? It's too far offshore. You see that? So it's just cold and dry. But the American model is a little different. For those that like snow, well, it's a little more optimistic, and here's why. As we get past Thanksgiving, look what happens here. This is the American model. Note the difference. Here's your upper low, but it's leaving. You see that? So instead, there's the European. That's for Saturday evening. Here's the American model, somewhat different, but you notice there's a bigger difference here. Remember how the European just continues to keep this upper low locked into the northeast, so that drives the baroclinic zone or the front way offshore, so any storms that form are offshore. GFS is a little different. It's a little different because what this does is, let's go back to Saturday evening. There's the European, there's the American model. Watch what the American model does. It takes that upper low and it's gone. See how it leaves it? You do have another one leaving in here, right? There it goes. But then you have additional energy dropping in here. So, and again, this also is, you have a little better chance of getting some snow Sunday to Monday. But even the GFS is showing this, that the cold air goes offshore. And you know what? Your baroclinic zone is offshore, and it's a waste of cold air the first week of December. So it's a little more optimistic for snow, but not much. What if you're looking for snow in the Northeast? This is what you would want. You want the cold air to come in, but what you want to do is you don't want this northern bounce to be as strong. You want it to lift out, and what you want to do is hold your baroclinic zone here, have additional energy coming down, and then you have some snowstorms coming to the northeast. But right now, all of the modeling is showing that the first week of December, it's cold. There's tons of lake effect going on here, but with the baroclinic zone offshore, there's not going to be much snow. And the problem is then, after this, after the 5th or 6th of December, it turns milder again by the time we get in the middle part of December. So, for those that love the snow, you have the cold, but you don't have the storms. So let's see if that's right as we get into the middle part of the week. What I'm optimistic about, if that you want snow, is you got to build the cold. Once you get the cold, you have opportunity. So let's focus in on how this is going to end up being. If this is right, that the modeling is right, and you've got all of this upper low, see what this has to do. This has to lift out, and not be as strong. You want cold air, but you don't want to drive the cold air all the way off the coast. Right now, it looks as though some of the modeling, and we'll see if that's right, that it's cold, but it's dry. So let's see if that happens. But one thing to get ready for, regardless of how the storms work out during the month of December, is that the first week of December is going to be very cold. And it's going to be winter-like cold with lots of lake effect. Let's see if we can change the pattern a little bit and get some storms to form along that boundary. Right now, most of the modeling suggests it's dry and cold. I think it's a little too early to bank on that. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. Also, that's a tricky storm for Thanksgiving. But certainly there's at least some opportunity for some snow on Thanksgiving Day in the Friday, followed by a real shot of cold air. And let's see how this pattern unfolds as we get into the first week in December. Right now, it's looking like everything's offshore. Let's see if that's right. All right, if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm at AccuRayno.